Hello everyone, welcome back. This is week 8, part 2. I just realized I need to change this because we are on unit 9, lesson E. Okay. So, where we left off in the last lesson, we had read the story about a chief and some frogs, and what type of story was that? The story All Things Connected. That was a what? A fable. So it was a fable because it taught a specific moral. It had a specific lesson that it was trying to teach. So we left off, your homework was to answer questions, and so I thought we would take a few minutes now to go over some of the answers, okay? So if you'll open your books to page 117, get out your notebooks wherever you wrote your answers, and we will go over them. Okay, so number 1, what is the overall meaning or moral of this fable? I put that all things are connected is the overall meaning, and I know that was the title, but I think all things are connected is the moral of the story, and that means that all of our actions have an impact on the environment and on everyone else in our lives too, right? Everything is connected, so everything we do affects everything else that happens around us, right? Okay, number 2. What was the chief's main problem? Well, he had several problems, but in this story in particular, his main problem was that he couldn't sleep because the frogs in the swamp were too loud, right? Okay, number 3. When the chief wanted advice, what did almost all of his advisors say? And why did they say that? Well, they always, no matter what, told the chief, "Indeed, it is wise." That's their direct quote. Everything the chief said, they agreed with him. So this was their way of always agreeing with him, and they probably did it so that they could gain the chief's favor, so that he would think well of them, so that he would like them, maybe so that they could gain power. But that's why they said it, we think. Number 4, why did the chief assume the old woman was a fool? Well, probably because she always had the same answer to everything, and also because she did not always agree with him the way the other advisors did. So, because he was a big, powerful chief, and she didn't agree with him, that probably made him mad, and so, you know, then he said, "Ah, she's foolish." Okay, number 5. What 2 things were connected in this fable? Well, we saw that all things are connected, but in this fable in particular, the 2 things that were the main focus were frogs and mosquitoes. All right? Frogs and mosquitoes. Number 6, in paragraph 2, what does croaking mean? And what words provide clues to the meaning? Well, croaking is the sound that frogs make, and the clue was in the reading. It says the sound of frogs croaking in the swamp. So we know the sound of frogs, that's our clue that whatever word comes next is the sound of it's the sound that they make. All right, number 7, read the last paragraph. Do you think the chief understood the old woman's words? Why or why not? Well, I personally think that he did, but only after he ignored her words. So I think that because the reading says that the chief never forgot her words until the day that he died. I also think if the entire village had to move away from that land because he did not listen to her, then probably he would remember for a very long time, oh yeah, I should have listened to her. She was right. Okay? So those are the answers. And finally, before we go to the next part, I wanted to review this concept. We will talk about it more, but just remember, what question do you ask if you want to find the effect? What happened? And if you want to find the cause, you say, why did it happen? So if you want to find the cause of the village having to move, you say, why did it happen? Because the mosquitoes were terrible. Why were the mosquitoes terrible? Why did that happen? Because the chief killed all the frogs. So what happened? What happened? The mosquitoes were terrible and the people had to move. That's the effect. And why did it happen? Because the chief killed all the frogs. Does that make sense? Okay, let's turn to page 118. All right. So let's look at the questions at the top of the page. Now remember, this lesson is our writing lesson. So everything we are doing on page 118 is to prepare you to write your own paragraph on page 119. And we will not write the paragraph in this video, but you will be assigned to do it in the next video. Okay? But pay attention because this is going to help prepare you. So let's read the questions. It says, before you write, talk with a partner and answer the questions. You don't have to talk to a partner, obviously. But number one, what is the environmental problem in this photo? Okay, so you see the photo at the top of the page. It looks like there's a river right next to a factory. And they've got these big, I wish I knew the correct term for them, big buildings, factory buildings that are producing a lot of smoke, and probably smoke that has lots of chemicals in it because of whatever they are producing at the factory. And so it is creating smog, which is terrible for the environment, right? Okay, so number two, why is it a problem? So these are causes. So why is it a problem? It's a problem because smog gets into the air, and oh, I'm sorry. Why is it a problem? This is tricky. So it's tricky because the way that I want to answer, and probably the way you want to answer, is to say it's a problem because it makes the air hard to breathe. It's unsafe, you know, for for people to be outside. It hurts the plants and the trees. Maybe in this picture, maybe there is pollution getting into the river, which affects the animals that live in the river. It affects the water that we drink. But those answers that I just gave, those are all the effects. Everything I just said is how does this problem hurt people and the environment? Those are the effects. But what causes the smog? Why is there smog in the first place? Well, there's smog because there's a factory, and they are, I don't know, they are not using safe environmental practices. There's a factory because people want to buy things, and I guess they are just, the factory is, yeah, really the question here is, why is there a factory that is creating smog? And that's a difficult question to answer. So, but do you understand the difference now? If not, just message me and we can talk about it, because this is a little difficult to explain. Okay, but let's go ahead and read the paragraph. I think this will help. So, everybody see the paragraph? I'm going to read and you follow along. The causes and effects of smog. Smog is a serious environmental problem in my city. One cause is that there are too many cars on the roads and highways. Most of the cars only have one person, the driver. People seem to take a lot of unnecessary trips. They drive to the drugstore instead of walking 2 blocks. Another cause of smog in my city is that we use too much electricity. Since many homes are not energy efficient, our city's power plant has to produce more electricity. The burning coal from the power plant produces more air pollution. The smog is thick, so the air is hard to breathe. Consequently, on many days, it is unsafe for children and senior citizens to be outside. Smog also kills many trees and plants that produce oxygen and clean the air. If people drove less and used less electricity, I am sure our air quality would improve. All right. So, that was helpful, right? That helps me understand. I think this is maybe not a factory in the picture above. I think this is a power plant. So this is where they process the coal that produces the electricity that we all use in our homes and in our daily lives, at work, everywhere. Which makes a lot more sense. So, let's look at this red tip box at the bottom of the paragraph. It says, one way to organize a paragraph is to discuss the causes and effects of a problem, right? Now notice, I don't know if you remember from our previous grammar lessons last week, but you see the word since. Where is it? Since. Where did it go? I just had it. There we go. Since many homes are not energy efficient, our city's power plant has to produce more electricity. So since is a connector, remember? that signals the cause. All right, sense signals the cause of smog. And then you see later on, consequently, that signals one of the effects, right? Okay. So since many homes are not energy efficient, our city's power plant, that's the cause. Our city's power plant has to produce more electricity. That's the effect. And another effect, consequently, on many days it is unsafe for children and senior citizens to be outside. Okay, so now that we have read the paragraph, you are going to use this graphic organizer at the bottom of the page to fill out what is the organization that they used in this paragraph above. So we've got, for example, you see the problem. That's the main problem. It's the main idea. It's at the top of the organizer. And then one cause they already show us is too many cars, right? And then they give two different details about that help us understand that cause, right? One detail is that most cars only have one person, right? And so then the effect at the bottom is that the air is hard to breathe. Yeah? Okay. One last thing that I was going to tell you, and now I don't remember. Well, okay. So go ahead, and your homework will be to fill out this graphic organizer here based on the information in this paragraph. And then we will go over it in the next video and work on your paragraph. Okay? All right, see you next time.